Shaq and Kobe got together for Shaq's podcast, and they were talking about how both were kind of immature with this. And does that matter anymore that they've sort of bridged the gap here of what happened when they were with the Lakers?
Well, I think it's cool that they're going to we all say things and do things when we're young that we come back to regret. I think it's cool I personally think they need to be friends. They're one of the greatest duos. The NBA should be lucky they didn't like each other because they could have won. If those guys really got along and played together, they could have won at least 3 more championships. I mean, because Shaq, after he left, he was still effective. He won one 2 years later with Miami, and Kobe ended up winning a couple more after that. So the NBA is very lucky that they didn't get along. They would, if they had stayed together, they could have won. I mean, realistically, they could have won close to 10 championships, I believe. I really believe that if they had stayed together, because you got those two guys, you obviously ahead of the curve. So, I do hope they become friends. They had a lot of success together, and it's a shame that, like I say, listen, we've all said things when we were young we regret, but I'm glad they should be friends.
But don't you get the feeling, Kobe wanted to show that he could do it on his own, and
nobody does it on their own, Dan.
I know, but
stop being on ESPN. When you try to make guys feel bad, nobody does it on their own. LeBron's the greatest player in the game today. He didn't do it on his own. He had some help from Bosh and Dwayne, and he went back to Cleveland. They're not as good. Nobody does it on their own. I mean, Michael Jordan, as great as he was, Scotty was terrific. Horace Grant was terrific. Robin was terrific. Paxson was on that team also. Nobody does it alone.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. How many championships did Kobe win before Paul Gasol got there?
None.
I mean, nobody does it on their own. It's a team game.
Okay. So I misspoke. So
no, you didn't misspoke.
Kobe won.
You didn't misspeak. Dan, I got love for you, but I'm saying that you don't do it by yourself.
But you want to be the focal point. So
when you're the best player, you are the focal point.
But with Shaq, he wasn't going to be the.
At some point, he was, because think about it. You go back and look at Kareem and Magic. At some point, Magic took over. That's the way it is. That's what sports is. When you get older, you first of all, you hope you got another great player with you. There's nothing worse as a great player when you can't play anymore and you don't have any help. I mean, think about it. When Kareem was with the Lakers, when Magic first went there, it was Kareem's team. And then gradually you pass the baton. Think about Tim Duncan, the greatest power forward ever. He passed the baton to Tony Parker. They still winning. Then they passed the baton to Kawhi Leonard. That's how you keep winning instead of having a situation like Shaq and Kobe where y'all become argumentative and trying to still be the man. Tim Duncan is the greatest player who I've seen okay, I'm not that guy anymore. I'm passing the baton. And they've had the greatest run. I'm not going to disrespect the Celtics in the 60s and 70s, but that's a different era. But the San Antonio Spurs, because of Tim Duncan, they've had the greatest run in NBA history, in my opinion, because Tim Duncan was man enough to pass the baton instead of being a little whiny girl and saying, no, I still want to be the man, was what happened in L.A. And instead of winning more than 3 championships and breaking up the greatest big man and probably the second best 2 guard ever, they never reached their potential.